Hello, my friends. My name is Silas Crawford, and before you throw one more blackened fork or spoon into a donation box, I want you to turn it over. That dull, tarnished piece in the back of your kitchen drawer might be worth $15, $200, or several thousand, depending on what is stamped into the handle. Old American silver flatware was everywhere from roughly the 1840s through the 1940s. Families bought it for weddings, holiday dinners, and formal services, then packed it away in wooden chests when tastes changed. That is why so much of it still sits in kitchens, attics, basements, and inherited boxes where nobody has looked closely in decades. Today, we are counting down 10 specific kinds and patterns of old forks and spoons that deserve a second look, and I am going to show you exactly how to separate sterling from silver plate, how to read the maker, how to identify the pattern, and why one strange serving piece can sometimes be worth more than an entire pile of ordinary utensils. And stay with me to number 3, because that is where the oddest looking fork or spoon in the drawer can become the most interesting piece in the whole set. Before we get started, tell me where you are watching from and whether your family still has an old silverware chest nobody uses. Iowa, Texas, Canada, England, it does not matter. I read the comments. An old American flatware has traveled everywhere. One warning before you polish anything. Tarnish does not mean worthless. Tarnish is just surface oxidation. What matters is what the metal is, who made it, what pattern it belongs to, how complete the service is, and what conditions survived underneath that dark surface. That little pause can keep a family heirloom from disappearing cheaply. Quick favor before we start reading these marks. If you like learning how to spot valuable old household pieces before they get sold for pocket change, subscribe to the channel. Every week, we break down the makers, patterns, stamps, materials, and small details that separate common household items from pieces collectors chase, and the next one may already be sitting in your own kitchen drawer. Now, let me be straight with you, because this is where most people get fooled. Not every shiny-looking fork is silver, and not every dark old spoon is valuable. The distinction that changes everything is sterling versus silver plate versus coin silver. Sterling silver is 92.5% pure silver. On American flatware, the easiest marks to look for are sterling or 925 on the back of the handle. And if you see that, you already know the piece has real metal value before pattern or collector demand is even considered. Silver plate is different. It is only a thin layer of silver over a base metal. A sterling plate setting can be worth around $200, while an almost identical plated setting may be worth about $15. Look for EPNS, silver plate, a 1, triple plate, nickel silver, or German silver. Those terms do not mean solid silver. On worn plated pieces, you may even see yellowish brass or another base metal showing through at pressure points, especially the back of a spoon bowl or the tips and shoulders of a fork. And on an American piece made after about 1870, a manufacturer name with no sterling or 925 should make you cautious. It is probably plated until proven otherwise. Coin silver is the older exception. Before about 1860, many American silversmiths worked with silver derived from melted coins. Those pieces usually do not say sterling. Instead, you may see the silversmith's name, initials, or a city name. That absence is not a flaw when the piece is truly early. Coin silver is historically rich and very collectible. So here is your first habit. Turn every piece over and read the back of the handle near where the spoon bowl or fork tines begin. You are looking for 3 things. First, the material mark. Second, the maker's mark. Third, the pattern name if it is stamped. Learn the major maker symbols too. Gorham is famous for the lion anchor and letter G. Tully used a T with a lion. Reed and Barton is associated with an eagle and later the Reed and Barton name. Tiffany & Kober usually gives you the name directly. And Tiffany Sterling often sells 2 or 3 times higher than comparable Gorham or Reed and Barton pieces. Wallace, Kirksteve, International, Towel, Alvin, Dominic and Half, and Whiting are all names worth stopping for. But the maker is only part of the story. Pattern can matter even more. Heavy, deeply ornamented, high-relief patterns bring stronger collector demand than plain, smooth designs. Discontinued patterns and patterns produced in limited numbers can become scarce because collectors are trying to complete old services. Some ordinary sterling trades close to metal value. Other patterns can sell for 3, 5, even 10 times melt because buyers want that exact design. Melt value is your floor, not always your selling price. Every sterling piece has a minimum metal value based on its weight and the silver price that day. A rare pattern teaspoon might contain only around $15 in silver and still sell for 40, 60, or 80 because the pattern matters. Heavy, thick-handled pieces also carry more silver simply by weight. Now the countdown. Number 10 is not one maker. It is the first rule every kitchen drawer should pass. Any fork or spoon marked sterling or 925. If you find that mark, separate it from the plated pieces immediately. You now have real silver plus whatever collector premium the maker and pattern may add. A sterling place setting can land around $200, while a plated twin may be closer to $15. That does not mean every sterling fork is worth $200 by itself. It means the material moves you into a completely different category. Check the back, confirm the mark, then identify the maker and pattern before you judge value. Number 9 is Gorham Buttercup, introduced in 1899 and produced for generations afterward. This pattern is easy to remember once you see it because clusters of buttercup flowers run along the handle in raised relief. Look for the lion, anchor, and G. Gorham mark, and pay attention to the finish. Older buttercup can have a soft, matte surface known as Gorham gray. That subdued finish is original and should not be mistaken for wear that needs to be polished away. Pre-1920 examples are especially desirable. Individual pieces trade above melt, and complete services can reach into the thousands, depending on size and condition. What makes Buttercup valuable is the combination of a famous maker, recognizable pattern, and strong collector demand for early versions. Number 8 is Gorham Chantilly from 1895, one of the most recognizable American sterling patterns ever made. The handle has an elegant flowing relief, less floral than Buttercup, but immediately familiar to silver collectors, and the Gorham mark confirms the maker. Chantilly has been collected for generations, so demand for replacement pieces remains strong. Complete sets can bring serious money, but do not overlook serving pieces. A special ladle, serving spoon, or unusual fork in Chantilly can bring a stronger premium than common teaspoons because somebody completing a service may need exactly that piece. This is where most people make the mistake of counting only how many forks they have instead of asking which forks they have. Number 7 is Wallace Grown Baroque, introduced in 1941, and this is where sheer weight becomes part of the story. The pattern is bold, heavy, deeply ornamented, and unmistakably Baroque. Pick up a real sterling Grand Baroque piece, and it feels substantial before you even read Wallace on the back. It is one of the heavier, famous sterling patterns, which means there is value in the silver weight and a collector premium on top. Complete services regularly reach roughly $8,000 to $15,000 depending on piece count, condition, and completeness. Even an individual fork can trade around $50 to $100 above its melt value. If you inherited a full service for $12 in its original chest, do not split it apart before you understand what you have. A complete service is often worth dramatically more per piece than loose utensils sold one at a time. Number 6 is Towel King Richard, a heavy Gothic-inspired pattern that was discontinued, and that word matters. Look for dense Gothic detailing, substantial weight, and the towel mark with the T and lion. Because the pattern is no longer being made, collectors trying to replace missing pieces have to compete for surviving examples. Complete services can land around $6,000 to $12,000 depending on condition and piece count. A bent tine, deep scratch, missing knife, or incomplete service can change that number fast. But a clean, complete King Richard service in its original chest is exactly the kind of thing families underestimate because the silver looks dark and old-fashioned. Would you have guessed that a pattern being discontinued could matter as much as the silver itself? Tell me below, because that is one of the biggest lessons in this entire category. Before we move into the top 5, check condition and completeness because both can move the price almost as much as pattern. Collectors want straight fork tanes, spoon bowls without deep scratches, handles without bends, crisp decoration, and surfaces that have not been aggressively buffed until the details disappear. Tarnish is not the enemy. Damage is. A dark sterling spoon can be polished later. A cracked handle, badly bent fork, or deeply gouged bowl cannot be wished away. Complete services matter even more. A service for 12 with matching forks, spoons, knives, serving pieces, and its original fitted chest can be far more desirable than the same weight scattered across random drawers. Missing knives are especially common because knife construction differed, and families often replace them separately. Do not discard the chest either. Original storage helps keep a set together and supports presentation and provenance. And keep an eye out for alternative strong patterns and makers while you search. Gorham Strasbourg, Wallace Sir Christopher, International Wild Rose, Tall Old Master, Alvin, Dominic and Half, and Whiting all deserve a second look when marked sterling. But plain common patterns in silver plate may still be worth little more than decorative or sentimental value. The lesson is simple. Identify material first, then maker, then pattern, and only after that start talking about price. One matching specialty server can also complete a valuable service. So never sell the strange pieces separately until you know exactly where they belong. Number 5 is Kirkstieff Repoussé, one of the most artistic American silver patterns and one with roots stretching back to the 19th century. Kirk's Repoussé work goes back to the firm's early history with the pattern tradition associated with the 1820s and 1840s. The easiest thing to notice is the relief. Flowers and foliage do not just sit on the surface. They rise heavily across the handle and often continue along the stem. Look for Kirkstieff or Kirkstieff marks depending on the era. This is the kind of pattern where craftsmanship creates value beyond raw silver weight. Deep repoussé takes labor, and collectors pay for that artistry. Prices vary widely by piece and service size, but the pattern carries a consistent collector premium, and complete services can become serious assets. Do not flatten that relief with aggressive polishing. If somebody has already worn the details soft, value can suffer even when the silver content is unchanged. Number 4 is Reed and Barton Francis First, introduced in 1907. This pattern is almost a lesson in how much information can fit on one handle. Look for Renaissance-style cartouches, fruit, flowers, and a series of different designs across the handles. Collectors often describe 15 distinct decorative motifs in the pattern. Earlier pieces may show the lion, eagle, and letter R mark, while others carry the Reed and Barton name. Francis First is among the heavier famous sterling patterns, so weight helps establish a strong melt floor before collector demand is considered. The reason it remains important is simple. It combines heavy silver, deep relief, visual variety, and one of the strongest names. Complete services sit firmly in the thousands, and rare serving forms can push the value higher. If you find a set, do not assume mismatched looking handle details mean the pieces do not belong together. The different motifs are part of the pattern's identity. And number 3 is not a single pattern at all. It is the category most families misunderstand: Victorian serving and specialty pieces. Open an old silverware chest, and the weirdest fork may be the one you should research first. Elaborate 19th century dining services included fish forks, sugar sifters, asparagus tongs, large ladles, serving spoons, pierced servers, and utensils designed for foods most modern households no longer serve formally. Their odd shapes make people think they are incomplete, decorative, or useless. Collectors see the opposite. Specialty pieces were produced in lower numbers than teaspoons and dinner forks, and replacing one missing server can be difficult. European 19th century silversmiths produced individual serving pieces that can sell for hundreds of dollars each, and American sterling specialty pieces in desirable patterns can command similar premiums. Look for unusual bowls, piercing engraved blades, narrow fish fork profiles, scissor-like asparagus tongs, deep ladles, and decorative serving ends. Then turn the piece over and identify material, maker, and pattern exactly as you would with an ordinary spoon. This is the money hidden in plain sight category. The family may protect the big dinner forks while throwing one strange sugar sifter into a junk drawer, and the strange piece can be scarcer. If you have an odd silver utensil at home that nobody knows how to use, tell me what it looks like in the comments. Those are often the pieces worth identifying first. Number 2 is coin silver from before roughly 1860. And this is where the absence of the word sterling can actually be important. Early American silversmiths often worked with silver made from melted coins before the sterling standard became common. A genuine coin silver spoon may carry the silversmith's name, initials, or a city stamp, but no sterling mark at all. That means you cannot use the same post-1870 rule blindly on very early pieces. Form, construction, maker, city, and period all matter. Coin silver is highly collectible because it connects directly to early American craft and regional silversmithing. Value rises with the rarity of the maker, town, age, form, condition, and historical association. A common unattributed spoon may not be spectacular, while a scarce regional silversmith can push the same basic object into a very different market. Do not polish early coin silver aggressively before evaluation. Patina, handworked surfaces, and faint marks can matter, and heavy polishing can make an early piece harder to study. Number one is Tiffany & Cobra sterling, especially elite patterns such as chrysanthemum. When if you turn over a heavy, beautifully worked fork or spoon and find Tiffany & Cobra, stop. Tiffany sits at the top of this list because the name carries a premium that often puts comparable pieces 2 or 3 times above similar Gorham or Reed & Barton flatware. Chrysanthemum is exactly the kind of pattern collectors notice. Richly worked, heavy, high relief decoration with the kind of craftsmanship that announces itself. Rare Tiffany pieces and complete services occupy the highest tier of American flatware values, and the best sets can reach the strongest prices in the category. But even here, the name is not permission to guess. Confirm that the mark, pattern, weight, construction, and condition all make sense together. A Tiffany mark on an object that does not match documented production deserves research, not instant celebration. And remember that a complete elite service can be worth far more than the same pieces scattered and sold separately. Now let us come back to the promise in the title, because most people don't know is not just a line. Most people genuinely do not know the difference between sterling and plate. They see 2 dark forks, assume both are old silver, and either give both away or price both the same. They see tarnish and think damage, even though normal tarnish does not destroy sterling value. They ignore strange specialty pieces because they do not know what they were used for. They split complete services because they think individual utensils are easier to sell. And they sometimes polish first and identify later. The order should be the opposite. Identify first. Clean carefully afterward. There are traps in the marks too. EPNS means electroplated nickel silver. A 1 triple plate nickel silver and German silver are not solid sterling. German silver is not silver at all, despite the name. A plated American piece from after about 1870 carrying only a manufacturer name and no sterling or 925 should be treated as plate until research proves otherwise. Look at the wear points. If yellowish metal shows through beneath the silver-colored surface, you are probably looking at plate. And do not let a prestigious maker name override the material mark. Major companies made plated wares too. Always cross the same 3 clues: material, maker, pattern. One clue alone does not close the case. Condition changes value just as quickly. Straight tines, clean engraving, crisp relief, undamaged bowls, and matching pieces help. Deep scratches, bent tines, missing components, worn plate, and badly damaged handles hurt. A full service for $12 in its original chest can command a dramatic premium because the buyer does not have to spend years finding missing forks, knives, spoons, and servers. Do not throw the chest away because it looks old. Photograph the set together before separating anything. There's another number you need before you sell sterling: the melt value. Weigh the sterling and calculate its metal value using the current silver price. Sterling is 92.5% silver, so the metal gives you a floor. But do not stop there. Pattern can lift the selling price 3 to 10 times above melt in desirable cases. A rare pattern teaspoon with about $15 of silver might sell around $40 to $80 because a collector needs that exact teaspoon. Heavy patterns like Grand Baroque or Francis First also benefit from greater gram weight before the pattern premium is added. Values in this video are estimates, and they can move dramatically with maker, pattern, weight, condition, completeness, and the silver price, which changes every day. The numbers come from real market and sale territory, but they are not guarantees. The same broad type can trade near melt or reach thousands depending on rarity and the set. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Open the kitchen drawer, find the old wooden chest, check the box inherited from your parents or grandparents, turn every fork and spoon over, read the back of the handle near the bowl or tines, write down sterling, 925, or any plating term, record the maker's mark exactly. Look for Lion Anchor G for Gorham, the T and Lion for Tau, an Eagle or Reed and Barton marking, Tiffany and Cobra's, Wallace, Kirk Steve, International, Alvin, Dominic and Half Whiting, or any maker you do not recognize. Then identify the pattern. Replacements.com is one of the largest practical reference sources for pattern identification, and you can compare the shape and decoration there. Once you have the maker and pattern, check completed eBay sales using the sold filter. Do not use active asking prices as proof. Search the exact maker, pattern, piece type, and material. A seller can ask $1,000 forever. A completed sale shows what somebody actually paid. If the piece is sterling, weigh it, and calculate the day's melt value so you know the metal floor before accepting an offer. If the set is valuable, unusually complete early coin silver, Tiffany, or a rare specialty service, take it to a reputable silver dealer or professional appraiser before making a decision. And before you polish anything old, especially coin silver, photograph the marks and condition first. Gentle, proper polishing can improve ordinary sterling presentation, but aggressive polishing can soften engraving, erase patina, and damage clues on early pieces. It comes back to the same thing every time. Value hides in details most people never read. The family sees a blackened spoon. The collector sees sterling. The family sees an old floral handle. The collector sees buttercup, Chantilly, Repoussé, Francis I, or Grand Baroque. The family sees one useless fork. The collector sees a fish fork missing from a service. The family sees an old wooden chest taking up space. The collector sees a complete service for 12. So do not judge the drawer by the tarnish. Turn every piece over, read every mark, identify every pattern, and keep the strange serving pieces until you know what they are. Then come back and tell me what you found. Did you find sterling, 925, Gorham, Tower, Reed & Barton, Tiffany, or only plate? And which would surprise you more, discovering a single valuable specialty server or realizing the entire family service you never use is worth thousands? Most people do not know what is in that drawer because nobody ever taught them where to look. Now you do. Check everything carefully.